Hey everyone, it's Joe from greenlightsound.com, and in today's video we're comparing two drum gate plugins. First is the Oxford drum gate from Sonnox, and the second one is the drum gate from Slate Digital, which many of you might have if you're a subscriber to the Slate Digital Everything bundle. So the first thing I want to point out is I just did a video on the Oxford drum gate. Check that one out. If you haven't seen it already, you'll go over all the controls and you hear it in action in that video. I'm not going to really talk about how to dial that one in today or the Slate. This is just really a comparison of these two to see if you can achieve similar results with the two plugins. Just to compare features really quickly, I want to go over first the Slate plugin here on the right, then the Oxford, because the Oxford does have some features that the Slate does not. First, the detection filters and the dynamic filters have to do with the release of the drum. So for example, if you have a low tom, a floor tom, for example, and you want to have that tom ring out and have the natural sustain, but not have all that other bleed from, say, high end of the snare drum or cymbal wash in it, you can let the release only release the core sound of that drum by dialing in where that is with these filters. You have the same thing over here in the decay section of the Oxford plugin. So that's one of the unique things about these two plugins that make them really work effectively on drums. The Slate has different slopes for the release and attack that you can dial in that the Oxford doesn't have. And the Oxford has this one feature, which is really cool, the leveler feature, which is sold as a separate plugin from companies like SoundRadix and Melda Production, where you can dial in the overall level of each hit, not with compression, but by adjusting the transient envelope. And that kind of gets you to dial in some dynamics within the plugin itself. The Oxford also has a MIDI out and a MIDI capture feature that aren't included in the Slate. But in terms of just the basic gating of the drums, they've got some similar features. So let's hear them in action. The first thing I want to do is bypass the Oxford. We're going to start with the Oxford plugin and hear the drums as they are. This is the kick drum track. So a little bit of snare bleed, a little bit of cymbal bleed. I'm going to engage the plugin, dial it in. Okay, I'll do the same thing with the Slate plugin. And let's compare them back to back. First, here's the Oxford again. And the Slate. Oxford. And Slate. I want to change the attack on the Slate. For some reason, I'm feeling like that initial transient's not popping through quite as clearly. Here's without again. And Slate one more time. So let's try that same experiment, but now on snare drum. First, I'll bring up the Oxford plugin. Here's the snare track with the plugin bypass, just the raw snare. All right, we'll try to dial in the Oxford. try to do the same thing for the Slate. Again, really easy to achieve similar results on both of these plugins. The Slate Digital tends to, for some reason, emphasize the transient a little bit more than the Oxford does. The Oxford gives a little bit more natural sound to the transient, but they both can achieve very similar results, as I've said. And again, the Oxford does have a few more features that the Slate Digital Gate doesn't have, but they are both great tools. My verdict would be if you already have the Slate Drum Gate plugin, you're probably in good shape for drum gating. If you don't have it and you want to really up your game in terms of drum gating, the Oxford Drum Gate, you just can't go wrong with. It's a fantastic plugin as well. And it also has those extra features of MIDI out and a drum leveler. Now, if you already have a separate drum leveler plugin, or if you have Trigger from Slate Digital, for example, that can also do MIDI out, or if you have Melodyne that can do MIDI capture of drum parts, you might not need that MIDI out feature. But if you don't have any of those, this is like a one-stop shop for drum gating, drum MIDI, and drum leveling that can really get the job done really well. So if you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you in the next one.